Welcome to the Pure Air Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into our first episode. My name's Alina Mir.
My name's Tanvi Nakir-Kanti. I'm Anushka Kimaseti.
And I'm Shriji Patel.
So let's start off by discussing a little bit about what this podcast is going to be like. Tanvi, do you want to start us off? Yeah, sure. So our aim as a podcast is to limit underage vaping by spreading awareness through our podcast. So, Anushka, can you share more about what we'll do in this podcast? Yeah, so like Tanvi said, our aim is to just create and start discussions. So these discussions will be across a wide variety of topics. As boring as vaping may sound, there's a lot of different views and angles from which you can tackle it from. So we'll cover everything from health to economic, and also bringing in different age groups and special guests to share their perspectives. And we'll also in between have some Q&A so you guys can share your questions and hopefully we can answer them.
Yeah, so we are a 501c3 registered nonprofit, again, with just a mission to limit underage vaping and kind of just spread awareness and start the conversation among middle schoolers, high schoolers, and just make people know that it's something that we shouldn't be scared to talk about, and that for the people who need help, that, you know, it's available.
So you guys are probably wondering, how did us high schoolers start this nonprofit organization? We started this nonprofit organization in our AP Capstone Seminar class. And in this class, essentially, all you have to do is form a team. And in that team, you all pick one topic to research. And we first started with talking about nicotine, and then that evolved into talking about vaping. So we researched on the different effects of vaping. Alina talked about the ethical perspective, Tanvi did social and cultural, Anushka did economical, and I did the health and scientific. So we all covered different topics, and then at the end we had a presentation to give, and we had to write a 12,000 word research paper. So after that, Anushka actually came up with an idea that, we should spread this awareness, as we are so knowledgeable on it now, as we've researched for a couple months. So we started emailing people and talking about our nonprofit organization. Tanvi, do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I was going to say, Alina, what did you think about when we first brought vaping as a topic for our research project? Yeah, should you give a quick overview? But let's break it down a little for the audience, share our experience from our perspective. So, Alina, Can you take us from the start?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, we were working as a group together, and I remember it was just the beginning of the school year, and we were told to choose just one topic that we had to make a whole presentation on, and the 12,000 word report. So, obviously it's really hard to choose a perfect topic that's broad and, that has many aspects to it. So I remember we were kind of confused on where to go, but I remember Shriji had the idea to use vaping as our topic, because that is something that we are surrounded with in our own high school, and it is something that has so many perspectives. As we said, all of us wrote on something different. So yeah, I think that's kind of how we just landed on this topic, and it's come so far for us. So someone else wants.
Anushka, do you want to give your opinion since you weren't here the first day?
Yeah, so I had a completely different perspective of this whole thing, because unfortunately, the days leading up to when we had to make this decision, I felt sick. So I wasn't there the day this decision had to be made. And as procrastinators, we didn't make a decision till the day of. So I walked in the next day and they're like, okay, we're doing vaping. And I was like, okay, but what are we going to talk about? Everyone already knows. There's nothing much to say. But I guess we got convinced on it. Tanu, do you want to add a little bit more? Yeah, honestly, I wasn't so sure about our topic at first either. But once we started going into some research, just doing very skimming articles, we realized that this is a much bigger problem than we thought it was. And especially in our own communities, a lot of our friends and our classmates, we see them skipping class sometimes, going to the bathrooms to vape. And this is something that we wanted to target. And should you have something to say?
I mean, yeah, when we chose this topic, it was we were all kind of how I would say we were kind of in shock, and we were also kind of like joking around with it because everyone knew what vaping was. We thought it was the same thing as smoking, but once we started doing our research and looking through multiple sources, we realized it just because some people think that vaping might be intentionally a little bit healthier than smoking, it has the same detrimental effects just as smoking. So that was something that we all were shocked by, and the amount of chemicals inside vape. Would one of you
Yeah,
like to
so
elaborate on that?
again, all of this was literally just for our AP research or AP seminar class assignment. So the way this all kind of steered us toward starting this actual nonprofit was, I remember Anushka was like, you know, AP classes are rigorous and, you know, require a lot of determination and hard work and all that. So with us just doing all this work, Anushka was like, what's kind of the point of doing all this? So she kind of had the idea to take this somewhere else and, you know, advance this into something that can, you know, help our community and people around us, and also just something that, you know, we as the group, four of us, can take further. So if she wants to talk about like the kind of vision that, you know, you had in your head for this.
Yeah, we all wrote 4 research papers, and they were big. Like, I think they were like 3 or 4 pages plus each. And I was like, we did all this work, like so much research, over 15 sources each, something close to that. And we're like, we did so much. And after all we learned, we're like, this topic can truly have an impact. And I saw a way we could fit into society, and the way our ideas could be like beneficial to society. So then I was like, okay, what do you guys think about making this bigger? And I feel like everyone was kind of like apprehensive at first about it. Like, Tanvi, what did you think? Then I'll like expand on where my thought process went.
Yeah, I thought it was a little ambitious. I mean, we're just 4 teenagers. How are we going to spread awareness, and how are we going to spread our mission? But on this note, do you guys remember how we came up with our name? Wasn't it a fun day?
It was a very fun day. Basically, we were very like confused on what to start with. So at first we were just starting as the anti-vaping initiative, but then later on we found a name generator and we went through different names. I think after that was like SOS Vape and then multiple other names, but then we finally landed on Pure Air Project. So
Yeah, so I mean, when we were starting this, we didn't really know that we wanted to do like a nonprofit organization. We just kind of kept using this word initiative. We should, you know, use this as an initiative or like start an initiative. So again, we weren't intending to, you know, start a whole nonprofit organization for this. So I remember we also did have a meeting with the Board of Education superintendent for our school district, PTHSD, and also Mr. Chalfo and Mr. Mulrooney, or Dr. I don't know. But after we had that meeting, that's when this whole name thing kind of started. So, yeah, literally we just got Period Project from.
Yeah, I remember like this is something, like I said, I thought we could take forward. So in the initial stages before we had all these meetings, I remember writing an email, and I was like, what do I write in the subject line of this email? Like, what are we gonna say? Like, 4 students,
pretty clueless.
somehow like high school, want to talk to like somewhere like someone higher up within the district. But that's where, like Alina said, that's where we started by calling ourselves Anti-Vaping Initiative. It did take a while before we got a meeting, and like we said, we got one. We were in a meeting with Dr. Sutter, Mr. Tafo, and
Mr. Mulder.
Mr. Mulder. Yeah, and then after that meeting, actually, we sat in our library, just like the 3 of us, and we're like, okay, we need a name now because I think this is taking off.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of surprised by our idea too. They're like, we didn't think high schoolers would want to take this on.
And the main thing that they noted on was like, there's been parents and like older teachers like talking about vaping, but it doesn't really get into the heads of teenagers. And we've seen that with like, there's people who come to our schools, but honestly, we're all a little bored of that. So having a student's perspective was something that they thought was a really good idea, and they were like willing to support us. So, and then, yeah, we went into the name process, and our first name, a little funny, but it was Anti-Vaping Initiative, which the AVI, which stood for Anti-Vaping Initiative.
We thought it was clever that we abbreviated, and it spelled something else.
And we also had SOS Vape.
And that's what we got.
Our vision was with that.
The Anti-Vaping Initiative is what we created, and then SOS Vape was from the name generator.
I think we tried to, like, SOS, we tried to make it stand for something, like, stay out of substance abuse vaping. Like it was like no.
We tried to make a logo too. That was awful.
And that was all from this like random generator. We literally searched up name generator and like it was like, what are your parameters? And we're like anti-vaping, anti-drug abuse. Like it was all over the place. But how did we come to Pure Air Project? It's been like quite a bit.
I think we saw something about clean air.
Yeah.
So that kind of didn't really have a ring to it. But I don't know, we just somehow came to Pure Air Project and, it has a nice ring to it. So
Yeah, I
It
think
works.
after SOS Vape, it was a clean air initiative, but then we're like, we have to stop using initiative. So then we finally landed on Pure Air Project because we learned, like, in our research, we learned that there's so many, like, that's just an overall fact. Like, there's so many chemicals that end up affecting, like, greenhouse gases and, like, air. So then we're like, oh, we should focus on, like, our name should focus on something with maybe something related to environmental, but also relating back to our main mission, which is, like, anti-vaping and underage drug abuse.
Yeah, so after we figured out our name and, that, I don't really know how we got into the idea of, starting a nonprofit again, but we started, recruiting people and just asking around for help and support, just trying to get our idea out there and finding people who understand our vision. So I think that's when we started, just, again, reaching out to people. And so if anyone wants to...
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember, like, while we were still doing our research, we met at a boba shop to talk about this initiative. And we spent, I think, an hour drafting an email to write to, the superintendent, and it was a pretty hefty process, but I had a really fun.
Wait, I remember that boba shop. We were supposed, so for the same AP, like capstone class, we were supposed to finish our final presentation that we had to present at the end of this course to get our grade. We were supposed to be doing that, but then we like delved into this whole other like thing, and we're like, okay, let's just draft an email, get the process going.
But I mean, from that moment, it really like sparked the whole I don't even know, like a
It's
whole...
like it was like a chain reaction of ambition, passion.
Exactly. Because once we started something, it was really hard to just stop. Like we kept on going and having meetings, and the first thing that like ignited this passion was really like our elementary school presentations. Can you talk about, Anushka, can you talk about how we got into an elementary school and presented there?
Yeah, so we like at the meeting we spoke with Dr. Sutter and like all of them, our superintendent. And they were like, and we were like, okay, let's tackle a younger audience first, because as high schoolers we know like at one point people are just not receptive to it. Like they don't really care, like it doesn't really matter to them. So let's start educating younger audiences who might be more curious, because at the end of the day, curiosity is one of the reasons why people start vaping. So it's okay if they're curious, but their questions need to be answered in healthy and like logical ways.
Yeah, I feel like the idea we were thinking is kind of once it starts, it's kind of hard to stop. So we want to address the root problem, which is, focusing on the elementary school or even middle schoolers, who educating them before they start, so that once they are old enough, they can make a decision for themselves. But for now, it's important to really educate them so they know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, and I think that's where our idea of a nonprofit sparked, because we received such amazing reception from the younger kids. Actually, like we felt like we could actually make a change for once, and that's where the nonprofit started. That like ambition didn't seem so big, and we felt like that's something we could do. And I think that I feel that reflects in our name too. Like we call ourselves Project and not like an association or anything, because a project is an always ongoing thing. It's never ending, and I feel like that's just like the change we're trying to make. It's always ongoing. There's always a difference we can make.
Yeah, I think we should save the rest of the elementary school for our next podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, do you have anything else to say?
I was gonna say, before we even started the elementary school podcast, just going back a bit, we did do our first library seminar, geared towards parents more, even for all audiences. But if someone wants to go talk about that,
that's on YouTube if you guys want to watch.
This is our first like presentation in front of like a bigger audience than just our AP classroom, so it was a little intimidating.
Yeah, that was kind of like the first thing that
Yeah,
we
that
did
was, yeah,
at
that's
the
pretty
at
much the
like
first
a
thing.
under peer year project. So that was kind of big for us.
Yeah, after we met with Dr. Sutter, that was the first thing we did because he helped us get into the library and set up that presentation.
That was like kind of our trial period for them to see what we knew, because we told them like, yeah, we took this class, we did all this research, so we think we're pretty qualified, but obviously they needed to trust us first. So I think that was their trial with us, and we did receive decent reception, more than the schools have received in the past, especially amongst parents. And we wanted to open it up to like the whole area, the whole district, since this was at our main library. Yeah.
So the presentation we had there, I feel like it was more factual and mature, aimed to the parents again, so that they're aware of what, their children may be doing or what their classmates are, up to. So again, just focusing on educating them. So if their child is, doing that, then they know how to address it, kind of. So yeah, we did have a good turnout there as well, with a broad audience, many like age groups, ranges.
Yeah. And just a shout out, our AP AP seminar teacher. He was a tremendous help, and
He's an amazing support.
amazing support system. I'm sure he's annoyed of us because we spent his past
time doing this.
It's just our passion, guys. We're just so passionate. We use his class time. Very sorry about that, to work on this initiative. So. But he's such a big support. He helped us with transportation to the elementary schools. He even was there at all the presentations and at the library presentation.
Sacrificing his own time and class time.
And he was kind of the first person that we
Talk to.
yeah, brought this idea up to. So he was kind of our first and biggest support up until now. So
Yeah. Wait, what were your guys' thoughts during our like first presentation, since this was in a completely different setting, in a forum?
I mean, I remember, like, personally, my hands were really sweaty. Like, when I get nervous, I get like really anxious, and I was just really scared. I was panicking, but then I realized, like, okay, these are just a group of people. Like, I've presented before for our AP capstone, so I got this. And then I think Anushka started it off, so she kind of set the tone, so I was kind of comfortable presenting more about this. And later on, we did a little Q&A, so it got more comfortable because these parents were just asking questions, and luckily through our research, we answered all of them. Like,
Yeah, the questions got really daunting too, because they were asking things that we didn't anticipate, but we were pretty educated, so it was something we could answer. But unlike our AP research class, we've never received questions like that. Like, okay, what should I actually do, or is there any what place does law enforcement take in all of this?
But it was surprising how much we knew. It's just like the thought of it's daunting, like answering questions on the spot. But once we like took it a step back, we realized that we knew all the answers. We just have to, answer them. And we realized that the goal of the presentation was just to educate, and that also helped us calm us down more and like really focus on our mission.
Yeah, so gearing away towards this library seminar, which obviously it was our kind of jump start into, this whole thing that we have going for us. After that, I feel like we just we started our social medias, and we also did dive into the idea of starting a website for us as well. So if anyone wants to talk about like the next steps that we kind of took to grow into the nonprofit,
I think, again, coming back to a little bit of the library, we made flyers. We started posting them around everywhere, and then we created an Instagram account, so I just posted it on there.
Yeah, that was our first post on Instagram.
Yeah.
Our flyer
was a clip of
and that flyer went through multiple edits because we had so many like mistakes on it too. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like that was just like us starting. Like looking back now, that was just like our baby phase in this. So it's like looking back now, we've come like so far. So it's just.
And then I think from there, Tanvi is the one who took our first steps towards our website, and that was such a strenuous process too. Tanvi, I think only you can tell us.
Oh my gosh! Because once school ended, we really like honed in on this idea of starting a nonprofit, and I kind of took the initiative of starting a website because you might not know it, but to start a nonprofit, you kind of need a website. So everything asks for a website, and I was like, okay, I'll just do it. So I started on the process without knowing how time consuming it was and how much help I needed, but it worked out in the end. It's a pretty good website. I think you should check it out. www.pureairproject.org. Check it out. It's pretty good. And
Yeah, I remember Tanvi would send us like multiple pictures. Be like, "How's this picture?" And then she would write a huge paragraph and be like, "How's this paragraph?" Because we need to put it, and we just had no idea how much effort it would take, even though like it seemed like simple at first. Like, oh, you just need to set up a website, because we thought, okay, maybe it'll be like a Google Sites format where you just put in a few things, but
It's not.
none of, as you can probably tell, none of us have a computer science or anything background, so it only made it that much harder.
I mean, going a little bit away from our website, coming up with our logo was also a little difficult because we had to choose like a color palette that we had to stick to for like all our posts and even our website. So
Coming from your marketing end, like
Yeah.
colors and like make everything visually pleasing, aesthetic.
So we decided on this like sage green type of color because we were looking at like different colors and their meanings, and we decided like the green represents like growth, and that's what Pure Air Project is. Like as Anushka said, we're never ending, so this is like always going to be growing. So we just decided that green was like the main color to go with like spirituality and just growing. So
Yeah, so we got our website going, we got our logo going, we got our social media, Instagrams.
And the 501c3.
Yeah, we
That was
also
the biggest part. Got that over the summer, so
that was also a long whole process
Yeah.
doing the forms and everything to
reading in Starbucks and doing these forms.
Yeah.
So if anyone has access to the security cameras, don't look. If you saw our SSN, you didn't see it. But yeah, it was such a like goofy process. Like,
I think I remember like in our group chat, we were just waiting for our 501c3 like registration. I think Anushka started freaking out. She's like, "Guys, where is it? It's not coming."
no, we got so lucky because
We did.
we got it. Usually it takes up to like 6 months. We got it in what, like 2
months.
2 months.
Yeah.
And kid you not, I cried that day. I shed tears because it was like we put so much effort into think that like we could get recognition on a national level, like not even recognition, like like
The status.
status and be like official. It was like one dream or one ambition complete, and that's like kind of what's taking us forward now.
Yeah, it's just all these little aspects came together and got us to, this nonprofit. And then after that, once we got our 501c3 status, what we kind of did after that, I don't know.
I think after that we like decided on, okay, we're officially a nonprofit organization. Now we need to decide on what we're good at, like what our skills are, and we need to start deciding what our role should be. So Anushka, do you want to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so while we were in the filing process too, or even like before when we were in the class, we decided like, okay, if this were to become a thing, we would need to decide roles. We kind of said here and there, like, you can do this, we can do that, but we brushed it off. But then
I think it was already almost set. Like before we even knew it was pretty much set because of our personalities and what we're good at. So it was kind of easy figuring out our roles.
Right.
So
then when time came for filing, turned out we needed official names, and just like random things wouldn't work. So we were on Google searching like what
does this mean?
different like the governing body of like organizations and stuff. So I think we collectively, and I was so honored that everyone agreed and felt like I should take on the role of CEO. And then I felt like Tanvi had like equal capability as me, and we were pretty much working together throughout the process and stuff. So
and Shriji really focused in on like marketing and I don't know, like aestheticness. So we thought that would be a good role for him. And Alina was really good at like, okay, she would take like notes and organize what we said in our meetings, and we felt that she had a good role of. Do you want to take it?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm the chief strategy officer.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically just coming up with ideas, helping to help us expand, and just taking notes and our meeting minutes and our whole mega doc of just everything that we have with like table of contents. Right. So anyone can just go to that and anything they need. So.
Yeah, and Alina just showed a lot of tact during our elementary presentation. So strategy, we realized, was not only just organizational strategy, but just like knowing how to interact and work with people. So we couldn't find a better fit for Alina. And then, Tanvi, do you want to say what your role was? I didn't mention.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I don't need. Well, my role is kind of broad. I work in I help all these guys out, and basically I set out like tasks that we should work on next,
Mhm.
what our next goal is, what should we work towards. And yeah, our next goal is to fundraise. So we've had a couple fundraisers already, and we're basically set out on fundraising enough money for vape detectors in our community, the Parsippany Troy Hills district. And yeah, that would be our next steps. So should we wrap it up here today? Should we wrap this one up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys for
For
tuning
tuning
in
in.
to our first episode. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next
Next.
video.
And then that's a wrap.